running a practice is one of the most difficult things you will do in your life. That's a
Yeah.
lot of financial burden. That's a lot of stress. I have to do something called an overseas registration exam. That's for any dentist who graduated outside the European Economic Area.
You're working on your own line of toothpaste.
So I created some characters called Super Tooth and the Smile Squad.
Wow.
So Felicity Floss and the Mighty Mouthwash. My father, his elder brother, they were all taxi drivers by trade. Having a good role model, having heroes is important. You can ask any high school student that's looking to be a doctor and a dentist, getting work experience is very challenging. A lot of my colleagues have to see 30 patients a day, 25 patients a day. I'll see maybe 8 to 10 maximum. Dental phobia is rife. Ask any dentist, have they been told, I'm scared of the dentist, I don't like the dentist, I don't like you. That's my daily grind. So a dental degree now will cost you 100,000 plus books, etc. Some of the European places are actually cheaper than the UK to get a dental degree now. Dentistry is a vocation. It's a hands-on skill. See patients, treat patients, get a few years of clinical practice under your belt.
£100 or a £15 electric toothbrush. Floss or mouthwash, if you had to pick one.
Floss, floss, floss like a boss. You asked my nurse, I should have floss tattooed on my forehead. Floss, floss, floss. Please, Lord, floss.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fair and Fair Life podcast. We are joined here today by a very established and eminent dentist, Dr. Toheed Nasir. He's also a friend from across the borders, but we're very close because we stay in the same town, Wokingham. And Dr. Toheed, I want to welcome you. I also have Monica, as usual, my pretty lovely co-host. And we're super, super excited to dip into a lot of knowledge and wealth and passion that Dr. Toheed brings to this conversation. I want to tell you about a few things that have really left an impression on me when I spoke with Dr. Toheed previously. And I think one of that is he says that he's an old man in a young man's body. And we will do that, Dr. Toheed. And the other thing is that he loves to build a community around health. He's very passionate about driving a community in his own sort of South Asian community as well. So he's very, very out there. He wants to do some really brilliant work. I can go on, but I think I want to welcome Dr. Toheed. How are you today?
Good morning, Krati. Good morning, Monica. Thank you for having me this morning. It was a very lovely introduction and more than I deserve. So thank you very much. Um, we did come across each other in a separate context, and it was a very enjoyable conversation. And I'll delve into that a little bit as we go a bit further on. But I'm looking forward to speaking more to you both and delving into my experiences, my passions, oral health, general health, and the future of our South Asian communities, the future of our children generally, and oral health improvements moving forward into the 21st century.
Thank you. Monica, you want to add something or we can dive in?
No, Edward, I'm looking forward to hear more from Dr. Toheed. So, Krati, please take it on because there is so much and so it's such good information stored for our audiences. Let's go for it.
All right. So, Dr. Toheed, I think our first question is a very, very simple one. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you've gotten here. Talk to us a little bit about your journey.
So I was born in 1991, many moons ago, and I was born in a place called Reading, Berkshire. So I was born and raised here. I went to primary school in Hillside Primary School in Lower Early and secondary school at Maiden Early School. The reason I emphasize both of those points, I'll circle back to later on. because it comes back to why I built my practice where I built it and that community element that you discussed in the introduction. After I finished high school, I had the pleasure of going out to Australia, specifically the Gold Coast in Queensland, where I was fortunate enough to spend 5 years getting my dental degree. And then I worked out there for a few years after I graduated. We had an unfortunate experience in the family. We had a health scare with one of my grandparents, which brought me back to the UK. That happened pre-COVID in 2018, 2019. And I went through my qualification exams over in the UK. You have to do something called an overseas registration exam. That's for any dentist who graduated outside the European Economic Area. So I was fortunate enough to pass those exams. Those we'll talk about a bit later, but that was one of the toughest points in my life, if I'm very honest. I'll circle back to that because there's a lot of South Asian people actually going through those challenges right now. Young people that qualify from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, the Middle East. So I'll discuss that as well. And then I decided to do something not so sensible, and I decided to set up a dental practice during a worldwide pandemic. As you can imagine, that had its challenges, which we can discuss later. But now, touch wood, my business is 5 years old. We've been treating patients for 3 of those 5 years, and we're growing from strength to strength. And yeah, my main focus is community education, childhood education, like we've discussed and we'll delve into a bit more later. But it's providing high quality general dental care to the patients of Berkshire. So that's where you find me now.
Thank you, Dr. Toheed. And I think when we were discussing, you did mention about your own line of toothpaste. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
So this idea stemmed from a project that I was part of in my third year of dental school. So we did a topic which was an oral health promotion, where we had to pick an age group within the population of the Gold Coast and go and present something to them. And my colleagues, for some reason, decided to dress me up like a large tooth and to go and entertain children. I don't know why they thought I'd be good at that, but it turned out I was quite good at that. Maybe because I was the joker of the class, but who knows? So that stimulated something in my mind that's continued through the rest of my dental education and then on to my working life. So I created some characters called Super Tooth and the Smile Squad.
Wow.
So there's Super Tooth is the main character, and there's a character called Felicity Floss and the Mighty Mouthwash. So I've created myself and a colleague that I went to high school with, funny enough, who is a game developer. We created an app. I've created a little booklet, a little comic book, and there's a number of features around that. And what stemmed from that character is the toothpaste that we're calling the Super Toothpaste. That's coming through its final testing in the laboratory at the moment. And hopefully that'll be ready to launch in October, November this year. And it will be targeted at children 0 to 7. It's got a nice berry blast flavor because the common complaint that I get from children is ew, mint. We don't like the minty flavor. So I thought we'd launch with a berry flavor. And if touch wood, if it goes as well as it's projected to do, then we'll launch some more flavors. We'll launch some other products. So I've already had conversation with wholesalers within the dental community that are willing to take the product because they know me professionally. And then I'll also be looking to have conversations with larger sort of shopping centers, larger sort of brands like your Asda's, your Tesco's, all sorts of sort of shopping. So we're looking to sell it on shelves. So that's a little side passion project of mine. But as we mentioned, as we were discussing before we started, children's oral health care is my passion project. And it's the soapbox I get on when dentistry is spoken about. But I don't know if we're going to circle back to that later, but I'll discuss that more, things I'm doing, things that I've got in the pipeline, and sort of that's what I would like to leave as my legacy. And that thing that I'll leave on the earth when I'm finished is he made a difference to my child's oral health, and then I can sleep well at night.
Berry, for the first time, I'm listening this also, that you all will be launching Berry as toothpaste. Krati, please buy one for me whenever he is launched there. Berries is something which I like, so I'll definitely go for one of those.
Monica,
But
you're
doctor,
70-year-old, not a 7-year-old.
so that's what I'm saying. No, it's for kids, and the flavor anyone can enjoy, whether it is a child or whether it is auntie or whether it is grandma. Please buy one for me. Dr. Toheed, I would like to take you back when you were born here in UK. And in India, generally, this is the trend that a doctor family has a doctor, a police has, a police son or police daughter, lawyer has lawyer. What about your family? So somebody in your family was a doctor and that's what you got inspired, or only that episode that somebody asked you to become a tooth and you thought that this is something is very interesting. So tell us something about your childhood. How was it?
So I'll just go into my family history a little bit, just to give you a bit of context. So I come from a large extended family. So one of my mum's sister's husbands, he's a GP. So we all know him lovingly as Uncle Doctor. So
Okay.
he was the first one in the family, and that was a big thing, as you can imagine, because that was in the 70s and 80s. A South Asian man from Pakistan qualifying as a doctor was a big thing in the community and the
Right.
culture. And then the next generation down, one of my eldest cousins, he's a dentist, but he's a similar age to my mother, so he's late 50s, and he was our first sort of dentist in the family. Now, in my generation, I'm a dentist, and one of my first cousins, he's based up in Sheffield. He owns a practice up here. He's a dentist. So
Wow.
we are very we have a few healthcare role models, but I
Okay.
think it comes more so from my father, if I'm honest. So my father wasn't academically driven, and I have to say, a lot of my extended family in my father's generation were not academically driven. They were more sort of hard workers and had a work ethic. So like my granddad on my father's side, my father, his elder brother, they were all taxi drivers by trade, and they either drove black cabs or private hire. And then my father set up his own business, which is he lovingly calls it his eldest son. It's called Top Cars. I'm his eldest son, but he lovingly calls Top Cars his eldest son. That's slightly older than probably I'm 34, so I think the business is about 35, 36 years.
Okay.
But one thing that's noticeable is that we have a traditional nuclear family
Mm-hmm.
set up like a lot of South Asian families of my generation. Father was the breadwinner, went out to work, whatever he did. Mother was a housewife and still is. And she raised the children. She did school pickup, school drop off, drop to mosque, drop to sports days, all that sort of stuff. And dad took care of the working. We'd see him sporadically throughout our days. We'd see him on holidays and things like that. But mum was this consistent feature at home: morning school drop off, evening school pickup, drop to mosque. My mother was very specific about going to mosque and giving us a strong religious foundation. And
Mm-hmm.
as I mentioned to you before we start talking, faith is very important to me.
Thank
And
God.
it's how I lead a lot of what I do in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's less so the structure of it, but it's more so the understanding that there's something bigger than ourselves, and trying to do things with a clean nose, good intentions, good ethics, good morals, and a clean heart. Because I truly believe if you do anything with a clean heart and good intentions, whether it's a success or a failure, that was meant for you. And if it's
Mm-hmm.
not meant to teach you a lesson today, you'll figure out that lesson tomorrow. So
Beautiful.
I've been blessed with some fantastic role models, and that's
Beau-
something I try and be for the next generation if I can.
That's so wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Tawheed, for sharing this. And this is so insightful also at the same time that you being in any part of the country or in any part of the world, the lesson of being good is just the same, that have patience, be good, be kind, be honest. And this is what I can hear from you. And this is so insightful. Yeah, Kriti, over to you.
Um, I would also like to add that, a lot of your experience kind of connects, Dr. Tawheed. So even though we're from across the borders, but our ways of our families are set up, how we've been brought up has been, there's so many similarities, right? And that's why your experience is so very, very good for sharing for all of these South Asian countries. And I want to dive a little bit deeper into this now. You've mentioned that you are very passionate about supporting this community. You're very passionate about supporting the children of these community. Uh, Tell us a little bit more about what you do and also why you do it.
So for me, it's something I got involved with when I was about 15 or 16, sort of charity work of some description. So there was a Saturday school set up at Bournemouth School in Reading, run by a charity called Imad. And this was set up by a number of successful businessmen and women, academics, doctors of, it just happened to be Pakistani South Asian background, and
Mhm.
they provided a Saturday school for 3 hours during term time.
Mhm.
And I got involved while I was a student because a few people I know through family friends. And then I used to volunteer there as well. And to me, it started showing that unfortunately, a lot of our parents do not have the academic grounding like a lot of Caucasian parents do. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
we may be first generation, second generation. Academia wasn't important to our parents and grandparents. Earning money, survival, setting up.
Yeah.
And that is the gift that I will always say to my children. I will say, your grandfather gave you the opportunity to see me
How
because
sweet.
he worked 20 hours a day so that you, as his grandchildren, could see their father. And like that's something that always plays into everything. There is nothing I can say or do to thank my father for what he's done. There's nothing. And that's something I emphasize, and it's gratitude. Because I think we as a society and we as a South Asian culture are very quick to be glass half empty. We're negative. I'll say it. We're negative. And I can say that from my lived experience. We're very quick to say, oh, but this or oh, but that. But we need to be thankful what we do have. Like you see a lot of the unrest going on in the world. Do you have a warm bed? Do you have food? Do you have a roof over your head? We should thank God for that as a minimum. But instead, we always look at what we don't have. We look up instead of looking down at the people that are less fortunate. So gratitude is something I try and instill in everyone around me, be that my staff here or people I interact with in my personal life. When people ask me, how is your day? How are you doing? I go better than I deserve. And that's just genuinely how I feel. I feel I've been blessed with so much and I try and pass that on. So I get involved. So one example and an easy example is what we do. So our practice, we have that as a place where high school students, dentists already qualified, people in dental school can come and do observation. And that is very challenging now. You can ask any high school student that's looking to be a doctor and a dentist, getting work experience is very challenging. A
Yeah.
lot of practice don't want to do it. It's a lot of admin hassle. You have to get extra licenses, X, Y, Z. But to me, it was something I didn't compromise on because mentorship is important in all aspects of life. Having a good role model, be that a parent, be that an uncle, be that a member of your community, is so important. Having heroes is important. And sadly, that's starting to dilute. Like, I can look up to my father proudly, but if you look and you speak to a lot of children of this generation, they don't have that kind of role model. You need to show children what can be attained with hard work and dedication. I think the problem, this generation has everything handed to them on a plate because of the age of the internet. I never have to leave my house ever again. I can have food delivered to me. I can have medicine delivered to me. I can have all my bills paid online. I can do all my banking online. I can get exercise equipment delivered to my house. We have created a society of recluses
Yeah.
stuck on the computer, behind the computer. And I've noticed that with the young students I interact with, a lot of them are a bit more shy and awkward. A lot of them can't hold conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't like speaking on the phone. I'm sure, Krati, you've got children of that age. Everyone's on their phones, everyone's on their iPads. They rather text you than call you. And it's a generational change. But the problem I see is a lot of the people of that generation can't spell words properly. They can't write emails properly. They can't hold a conversation properly. Like, how can I hire someone? And I've been interviewing new staff, so this is fresh in my mind. They can't write a sentence. They don't know where a comma goes. They don't know where a full stop goes.
Uh,
And like, that's sad to me because the amount of people reading books is going down. All this sort of stuff that's just basic, like everyone's attached to their phone. But circling back to other stuff we do. So me personally, I go into local high schools, speak to the kids about getting into dental school in that experience. I go into local nurseries and local primary schools as Super Tooth. We've created a toothbrushing song. We've got the app. We've got the comic book. So I do that. Also, charitable stuff, donating. So I've sponsored local football and cricket teams in the past. Like whatever God has given me, I try and pass it on because
yeah.
what's meant for you is meant for you, and you try and put goodness out there. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the big thing for me is mentorship. So if I find a young student who's keen and interested, we offer as much time as we can. I offer advice with sort of getting into dental school, general life advice, general business advice. I get contacted. So I've done a podcast a couple of weeks ago with a company called Anglian Dental. They did all the fit out of the dental practice. So
Mm-hmm.
they asked me to come on and talk about my experience. And I freely give out my contact information. And just for people, like I'm always on my phone when it comes to work because it's my work phone. So I make a conscious effort to be easily contactable, easily attainable.
Thank you, Dr. Toheed, for sharing it. So sorry, guys, as you can see, Monica has unfortunately dropped off because of some Wi-Fi connection issues. But what we'll try to do is we'll continue with this conversation with Dr. Toheed because I want to keep this value nuggets coming from him. One of the questions that Monica wanted to ask Dr. Toheed was just around, how different is it the experience that you offer at your clinic? And the thing that I want to add to that question is tell us about your setting up the clinic experience, and the perspective that I want you to probably bring is if somebody is in the UK and is wanting to pursue a dentistry as well as establish something of their own, then what do you think it looks like and how can they go about it? So quite a few questions. Good to
Yeah,
go?
no problem. Yeah, I'll just reel it off in sort of chronological order just to explain
Right.
sort of how everything works. So with my training and background being trained in Australia, so Australia doesn't have a national health service in the same way that the UK does.
All
So
right.
in Australia, it's means tested. So if you're on disability payments or if you're below a certain age, then you get your dental care looked after and you go to specific NHS style facilities. But generally, everybody else pays privately or they have dental insurance. So that makes it more of a service economy than this country in that sense of private dentistry. So you have to provide that fantastic service to the patients because why would they come to you?
Mm-hmm.
What's your USP? Why am I choosing to spend my money with you than with the guy down the road? I was very blessed in Australia where I qualified. In our final year, they did a course on business management, which they don't do in this country. Because in this country, obviously, the priority for the government, the priority for the universities is to pump out dentists who are ready to provide NHS dental care. So they're providing a service to you, and it's just I don't know if you've had an experience with NHS dentistry, but a lot of my colleagues have to see 30 patients a day, 25 patients a day, just so that they earn the money and do the service
Right.
that they need. Where
Hmm.
in my practice, I'll see maybe 8 to 10 maximum. I spend an hour with my patients for a consult. We do, I don't want to say the word luxury because that's probably not accurate, but we take our time. One thing I provide to my patients is time, attention, and care. And I'm not saying they don't get that in the NHS, but I emphasize that. For me, an area where I focus on is dental phobia and dental anxiety management. Because as you can imagine, have you heard of something called white coat fever?
No.
It's that idea where your blood pressure shoots up when you go into a medical setting.
Oh.
People found that whenever someone got into a doctor's surgery or a dental practice, their blood pressure shot through the roof, and they
Right.
felt a bit nervous because it may be a childhood experience of getting jabs, or it may have been a bad dental experience. But dental phobia is rife. It's
Yeah.
common in my day-to-day practice. You ask any dentist, have they been told, I'm scared of the dentist, I don't like the dentist, I don't like you, you're a nice bloke, but I don't like what you do. That's my daily, that's my daily grind.
That's the
Do you know what I
first thing
mean?
everybody says to a
That's
dentist.
what they say, right? So
Forgive
imagine
me for
me
sharing
having
that
to hear
problem.
that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Imagine me having to hear that all day, every day. So for me, my focus is on two things. My focus is on providing everyone that comes through the door the best service that I and every staff member I have in my building can provide. That's point one.
Yeah.
And to provide them a warm, welcoming, and caring environment so it reduces that dental phobia. So I went and did some further education in being qualified in dental sedation. So I can provide a patient nitrous oxide gas and also something called midazolam and remimazolam through an IV in their arm. They're both agents that relax you a bit.
Hmm.
They don't put you to sleep. It's not a general anesthetic, and I need to emphasize that because a lot of people can get confused. But all it does, it relaxes you and it makes you more compliant. I'm still talking to you the whole time. We're in communication. I'm telling you to open your mouth and close your mouth, but that anxiety is reduced and
Right.
it just makes you a bit more calm. So for me, it's about creating a warm, welcoming environment. You hear stories all over the time. The dentist put his knee on my chest to pull out my tooth, or I was in 5 minutes and I didn't know what the dentist were doing or what they were saying. As you know, Krati, you've met me in multiple occasions. I'm a chatter.
Yeah.
So if you ever speak to anyone about Toheed and they've met me, then that guy loves to talk. But the reason I do that is A, to put you at ease, but B, to ensure that you've got something called informed consent. So there's something called consent and there's something called informed consent. Informed consent is what I live by, and that's the patient having the understanding and education to be able to make the decision. So I can say to you, Krati, you need a filling, and I'm going to do it, and let's go. And some people think that's consent if you go, yes, that's fine. But then what informed consent is, Krati, I tell you, you're going to have a filling. The material we used is composite. It's a white material. The reason we use this material is it's more conservative. This is the area I'm going to do the filling. This is why we need to do the filling. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
The difference is the information. And then
Yeah.
what I do is I say to you, Krati, tell me what I'm going to do to you. Because if you can tell me, that means I know you understand why I'm doing it. That
Yeah.
to me is informed consent because that is important. Because then, no matter if the patient goes out and makes a complaint or XYZ, you know you can sleep at night because your nose is clean. One sad thing I will say about the medical and dental profession is it's become a lot more litigious. There's a lot more lawsuits going on. There's a lot more complaints going on. Patients are complaining more. Unfortunately, there are a lot more no win, no fee lawyers out there. So unfortunately, people are making complaints without understanding the gravity of doing so. And unfortunately, these cases take time. Some can
Yeah,
take 5 years, 10 years to go through the courts, to go through arbitration. And that's sitting over a professional's mind, and that's not fun for anybody.
yeah,
So for me, circling back, if I'm going to say to anyone, because as I mentioned to you previously, I've been on talks and podcasts about my experience in setting up a practice. So I was a practice owner in my late 20s, early 30s. As you can imagine, in the grand scheme of things, that's quite a lot for a. I don't call myself a young man. As I said, I'm an old man in a young man's body, but like that's a lot of pressure. That's a
yeah,
lot of financial burden. That's a lot of stress. That's a lot of anxiety related around that. So I emphasize that whenever I talk to anybody. Like running a practice is one of the most difficult things you will do in your life, but it can be one of the most rewarding. And one quote I like to use is my dental practice has been a prison to me, but it has also been a palace to me at the same time. And you will go through those ups and downs and experiences. And that is not unique to dental practice ownership. That's to ownership in any startup business because it monopolizes your life. It takes over your time. It
yeah.
takes over everything you think about. I may see patients 3 to 5 days a week, but I'm always thinking, I'm always working, I'm always strategizing, I'm always planning. Like when you're a startup business owner, there's no working hours. Every hour you're awake is a working hour in the back of your mind. And I'm sure you know plenty of people that are like that. It's not unique, but
No.
it is important to understand what you're signing up for. But to circle back, my main thing, my USP is we provide you time, care, attention with the latest equipment in the nicest environment. And I do have to say, we provide a mean cup of coffee. So that's what we try and
I'll
promote
vouch
to
by that.
everybody.
Yeah.
And I
um,
appreciate it.
I had like, I don't think I want you to go in much detail, but just
Yes,
maybe
please. Yeah, yeah.
suggest. So, would you suggest somebody to go to Australia and do their dentistry over doing it in the UK, or given an option, you would say no, stay in UK and do it if that's possible.
I would say if you can afford is the first answer to any question. A
Mm.
dental degree now will cost you 50,000 minimum just in fees, and then let's add another 50 in living costs. So a dental degree now will cost you 100,000 plus books, etc., if you factor everything in. So a lot of
This is
people
in
I
the
know,
UK or
yeah,
outside?
in the UK, because it's 10,000 a year in fees. Then if you're living away from home, you've got rent for a year, you've got food, living
Yeah,
expenses,
yeah,
it
yeah,
all adds up, yeah?
yeah.
So let's just call it roughly 100 grand all in over 5 years, yeah? So a lot of people I know have graduated from the Czech Republic, Romania, Bulgaria, Spain, Ukraine, so Poland.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of European opportunities out there where they were a limiting factor in my time because of the cost. But now that the UK cost is sort of gone up, some of the European places are actually cheaper than the UK to get a dental
Yeah.
degree now.
So you said there are lots of opportunities to learn dentistry from if you really want to. Um, and then I had a question around, do you really suggest people to set up a practice? And if yes, then when is the right time to really do that? Like what experience should you have in your bag before you want to do that? Um, if if you had to select, what would you say?
I'd say dentistry is a vocation. It's a hands-on skill. So my advice is get runs on the board, see patients, treat patients, get a few years of clinical practice under your belt. Because the problem is financing anything. So to most people, they're not in a fortunate enough position to be able to afford to set up a practice.
Yeah.
I'll be very honest, setting up a dental practice is expensive. You're looking at
How
anywhere,
expensive? Yeah.
I'm just about to tell you. Yeah, that's all right. Like you're looking at anywhere between 250 and £500,000 for anything half decent, right? And the problem is that's just the fit out cost. That's so you came
Wow.
to my practice, that was within that range that I've just given you. That's the cost of setting just the building you walked into. And then the running costs, I'll say it very openly, I'm not shy. The running cost of a dental practice can be 20 to 30,000 pounds a month. That's to keep the lights on, to keep the staff paid, to keep the walls moving. Like people ask, why is dentistry in this country
Yeah.
expensive?
We
I
have
can
that
tell you
question.
why. Staff costs, national insurance contributions, electricity, business rates, water, rental mortgage, cost of dental equipment, cost of dental equipment you're actually using for the process of dentistry. That's just 7 or 8 things I've listed off the top of my head. Like
Mm.
the problem, the reason why other countries, so I have treated people that have had work done from all over the world. Like, you're from India, you can go to India, you can fly there now, you can get dental treatment for a tenth of the cost. But
Yeah.
that dentist is earning a tenth, the nurse is earning a tenth, their costs are a tenth, and that's why it's cheap. It's
And there's
cheap and
volumes.
cheerful. It's
Yeah.
volume. It's a volume game. So overseas, like my bit of advice is I never stop anyone going overseas because everyone's got their own journey, everyone's got their own experience. But I do warn them one thing, and I warn them very openly. I go, if you go overseas and you get dental work done overseas and there is a problem, there are a lot of dentists in this country that will not touch you with a 10-foot barge pole. They will give you antibiotics if there's infections. They will give you pain relief if there's pain. They'll do emergency services only. But they will not repair the work done overseas. Or if they do, they will charge a premium. And that's the warning I give to people because I've got no harm. Your financial situation is your business. And I'm not silly. I understand what the average earning power in this country is. I understand what mortgages are. I understand everyone's got bills to pay. So that's
Yeah.
why I never say anything or stop anybody. I just give warning because I'm an ethical human being.
Mm.
And I say, if you do go overseas, be prepared that if there's a problem, do factor in your travel expenses for future appointments for emergency problems or any drama. Because a lot of dentists in this country, because the problem is if it goes to court, and it's sad that I even have to think about it, any dentist along the chain will get dragged into the legal proceedings, right?
Mm.
And if you're a dentist in India or Pakistan or China or Albania, you're not worried about the UK dental
No.
community. It's my license that's at risk, not their license. So
Mm.
they'll happily do your work for a tenth of the cost, but the risk is always ours. And it's sad to me, but that's one thing that in my lifetime I noticed, and in the generation below, defensive dentistry has become more common because if lawsuits are shooting up, dentists are more nervous to do certain treatment. Then they're more nervous to pull their drill out because they don't know whether that patient's going to take them to court. And it's sad that I even have to say that out loud or even think
Yeah.
about it, but it's a thought. If you're a young graduate, that's in your mind. You've got hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of debt. You've got money that you need to make. You've got loans that you need to repay. And now you're at risk of litigation left, right, and center.
Mm.
And it's sad, but that's the challenges in life, isn't it? That's what we
Yeah.
sign up for.
So you're saying that get some experience under your belt, take a conscious thought about whether your costs, whether your situations really support you in setting up
Yeah,
a practice,
yeah,
because it is extremely expensive. And I think there are a lot of things. I'm running this as the podcast, and I realized that I thought I will only have to do these amazing conversations, Dr. Toheed, but I'm also realizing there's so much promotion, there's so much work that actually I have to put behind the scenes
Of
to
course,
actually
yeah,
make this work. And
yeah,
we kind of discount that in the limelight that we sometimes focus on and we see.
yeah, absolutely.
So thank you so much. I'll now switch gears. I'm trying to now move towards the end part of our podcast, but
No problem.
also I thought I'd make this a little bit fun and really tap into your dentist experience. So I'm going to
All
do
right,
a rapid fire round
absolutely.
and ask you some questions. You don't have to be very descriptive about it. You can choose to answer it in a single word or give a little bit of explanation.
No problem.
So the first question is floss or mouthwash, if you had to pick one.
Floss, floss, floss like a boss. You asked my nurse, I should have floss tattooed on my forehead. Floss, floss, floss. Please, Lord, floss.
And those water flossers, are they any good, or should we
Uh,
stay with
look,
the spring ones?
as I said, I'm an old man in a young man's body, so stick to old school. Floss tape, floss sticks, floss
Yeah,
picks, TP brushes, anything like that. Stick to old school. It will be frustrating, but you do it for a few weeks, you build the habit. It'll be the best value for your oral hygiene. Phenomenal.
fabulous. Okay. What is the one food or drink that you would wish people stop consuming for their good teeth?
Lemon water. So there was this whole thing about five,
Really?
10 years ago about fitness influencers and lemon water. But
Yeah.
you got to think of it this way. Lemon is an acid, correct? So what
Yes.
you're doing is you're bathing your teeth in acid all day, and that weakens the enamel and it breaks it down, which increases the risk of decay and erosion of your teeth. So be careful of juices, smoothies, lemon water. Rinse your mouth out with normal water regularly throughout the day because it's the acid wear that's starting to really damage teeth these days.
Just because from my experience, I know I've done that.
Of course
I've
you have.
had
Yeah,
lemon and
everyone's done
honey
it.
water.
Yeah, yeah, everyone
And
has.
that's
Yeah,
the first thing in the morning, sometimes even before brushing. I mean, I'm guilty of that. Do
yeah.
you suggest we stop that?
I suggest that you do whatever you like to make you happy, but give yourself 30 minutes minimum leeway before you brush your teeth. Because you got to give your saliva in your mouth a chance to neutralize the acid as best as possible. But try and minimize acidic foods and
Got it.
drinks, wines, that kind of thing, beers, that kind of thing. Just try and minimize it, but enjoy life, you know? I'm not here as the fun police. I'm a fun bloke, you know?
Yeah,
But just everything in moderation, for sure.
amazing. And how much should we really change our toothbrush?
Every 3 months, religiously. If it's an
Even if
electric
it's not looking
toothbrush, change
dirty.
the head. Yeah, yeah. Electric toothbrush, change the head every 3 months. If a manual toothbrush, change it every 3 months. Because bacteria builds up, the bristles like bend in multiple different directions. So yeah, 3 months maximum, ideally.
And okay, so let me ask, a normal toothbrush or an electric toothbrush?
So the research shows electric toothbrush. So what I'm supposed to say is electric toothbrush. So I will say that, but I'll write a little caveat next to it and I'll say use the toothbrush you're actually going to put in your mouth and use. There's no point you use it having a fancy toothbrush and you don't actually brush your teeth. So
Mhm.
brush your teeth twice a day with whatever toothbrush works well in your hand. Because the problem is a lot of people have wrist issues generally. So
Yeah.
use the toothbrush that you're going to use twice a day. But if you're asking what does the evidence show, electric toothbrush over manual toothbrush.
100-pound electric toothbrush or a 15-pound electric toothbrush?
Whichever one works better in your hand. The cost on all that additional gadgetry is just gadgetry, yeah?
Yeah.
As long as it rotates and oscillates, that's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever's the best answer I can give is whatever's within your budget. If you fancy an £100 electric toothbrush, treat yourself. If you just want a practical one, £15 is good. Yeah. So like whatever works, an electric toothbrush is an electric toothbrush, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
Amazing.
Right? No worries.
And what is the most underrated habit for healthy teeth?
What do you think I'm going to say?
Brushing twice a day.
I'm going to say flossing, floss like a boss,
Oh, yes.
because people don't do it.
Children.
The reason I'm saying it is because people do brush. They'll brush once a day. Brushing is easy in the sense that we are always taught to brush. But for some reason, people missed out the chapter of flossing in the diary. Flossing is the one oral health hack that isn't a hack. It's just a habit that you should do. I always say to patients, floss the teeth you want to keep because it's that important. Floss, floss, floss. Please, Lord, floss. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And whitening strips versus any natural remedies. What do you say?
Neither. I would say if you want to whiten your teeth, go to a dental professional, either have an in-chair whitening session or get impressions or a scan taken, get trays made, and get the proper gel done at home by a trained professional. There's no tricks or shortcuts to these kind of things. Go to a professional, do it properly, because if you use any of these shortcuts, you can really damage your gums, you can really damage your teeth, you can just damage your general health because you don't know what additives or additional stuff they put in these cheap over-the-counter things. Just go to a professional, make sure you have a proper dental exam first,
Uh-huh.
because you shouldn't be getting your teeth whitened if your oral health isn't on point first. So please see a dental professional, get a checkup, get a teeth cleaning, make sure your teeth and gums are healthy before you go and do any teeth whitening or cosmetic procedure generally.
Okay. And final question is, should I really do my 6-month trips to the dentist, or if I'm not feeling a problem, can I let it go?
Go 6 monthly religiously. Go to your dentist is more important than your hair appointment. Yeah. So go every 6 months. Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah. That's because I haven't got any hair left. That's probably why. Go every 6 months. The reason is that your dentist can pick up problems before they become a problem. The problem is if you start to feel symptomatic, a lot of the times that can be a bit too late and
Uh-huh.
you're needing a filling, or you might need a root canal, or you might need your teeth taken out. Going to the dentist or the hygienist or both 6 monthly is preventative. It's like going to the gym. You go to the gym to prevent all other future health issues. You go to the dentist to prevent having to do a root canal, having to have an extraction, having to do a filling. Because the problem is, with anything, once you start on the cycle of dentistry, you're on it for the rest of your life. Because with any procedure, it has a finite amount of time. Fillings need to be replaced regularly. Root canals fail over time. Like there's loads of issues that can happen because our oral environment is not a clean place. We're breathing things in through our nose and mouth. We're eating and drinking stuff. Our mouth is going up and down in acidic ranges. Like
Yeah.
it's a war zone in there. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
at least if you go 6 monthly, your dentist can tell you, okay, we can monitor these things and we can review in 6 months, or this looks like it's getting very close to the nerve, or it's getting very close to the sensitive area. Let's hop in and get this sorted. One thing I will emphasize, find a dental practice you feel comfortable with. Find a dentist you feel comfortable with. The reason I say find a dental practice first is because unfortunately now, in the modern generation of dentistry, it's very rare to have a consistent dentist your whole life because dentists changing every year or 2 years. The younger generation are
Yeah.
moving practices, they're moving jobs. It's not the case that it's a village dentist He saw your mum, he saw your grandma, he'll see your kids. That's getting rarer and rarer. It's common discussion that I hear with patients that come join us from other practices. They're like, my dentist, I've seen him for 10 years, but he's retired. Don't really like the new dentist. So I've decided to move practice because I was only at that practice because of that dentist. So what I would do is it's important to like the dentist you see, but I'd say more like the practice you go to.
Mm.
Like it's all good finding a single dentist, but people retire, things happen, people move. So find a dental practice that you find warm and welcoming as a priority one. And then if you find a certain dentist you like, then you can go to see them regularly. What we try and do in our practice, because of availability, you might see me or you might see one of our colleagues if you're happy
Mhm.
to.
Yeah.
We share patients. Like it's not, he's my patient, he's my patient. Why are you taking my patient? None of that business. It's just because you might be busy with work one week, so you can't come and see me in my hours, but you might see my colleague. We share patients. It's not, we're not that kind of place where, oh, that's my patient. No, no, no. It's
Mm.
none of that business. So find a dental practice you feel safe, you feel comfortable, and you actually don't dread when that notification comes up that your appointment's due. Like, oh, I'm going to see Dr. T today. We're going to have a nice coffee and I'm going to hear him waffle on about his life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes.
Look forward to your dental appointment like you look forward to your hair appointment or your nail appointment or your massage or balayage or whatever it is you want to do. Try and have that mindset, and then you'll be set for life, I reckon.
I agree. I agree. No, thank you for sharing so many value nuggets. Really appreciate it. I do see some really nice sort of flex in your hand. So I'm just inquisitive. How do you find the time to go to the gym? Do you go to the gym? I
So
think you
I
do.
go to the gym 6 to 7 times a week.
Wow.
I go at between 5 and 6 a.m. every morning. That's how I find the time. So but I do this for myself, and I'll finish on this point because it comes back to mental health. My profession is very stressful. Dentistry has one of the highest suicide rates among professions generally. So it's important to look after your mental health. For me, what I do is I lift weights, I'll play a bit of sport. I do that, but I do it for me. So what I do every morning, I'll get up at 5 a.m. and I'll go to the gym. And what I do is I post a story on Instagram and I'll post a little quote on Instagram. And I do that daily as a morning routine for myself. And I do it as a check-in. And whether people watch the story or not, I don't do it for them. I do it for me. I go,
Mm.
have you gone to the gym today? Have you posted? Have you posted? And that's for me. That's my check for the day. And I do the gym at the start of the day because I want to give the first patient that comes to see me at 8 a.m. the same service as the patient that comes to see me at 6 a.m. And in my opinion, you can't do that if you roll out of the bed at 7:45 and you're looking like that. So I
Yeah.
feel like getting up at 5 and I go to sleep at early. I make sure I get my hours in. I make sure I have a healthy routine, healthy sleep routine, healthy weight routine. I lift weights for my own mental health. And I think if you haven't got mental and physical health, it doesn't matter how much money you have in the world, it's not going to give you that satisfaction as walking around pain free. But I think I just want to finish on that point. I've been waffling on enough for you, but
No.
look after your mental health first. And if a situation is not good for your mental health, find a way to exit it because no one deserves to live rent free in your mind but you.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Dr. Toheed. It's been a very enriching experience and a very enriching conversation. Love it to the core. But thank you so much for finding the time today and joining us on the Fair and Fair Life podcast.
Thank you for your time, and I look forward to listening to it. Thank you.
Thank you. If you've enjoyed this podcast, then please do like and subscribe to our channel. Also, just as a bonus, I urge you to listen to this excerpt from our interview. In this Dr. Tawheed talks about gratitude, paying homage to your roots, and having a growth mindset over selfish intentions. He speaks from his heart and in reference to his own story. So enjoy this.
Life is a marathon and not a sprint.
Mm.
I need to emphasize that because everyone's rush, 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 rush to the next goal, to the next thing, to the next. Stop, breathe, assess, refocus, and move. Because a lot of people try and push, but you need to stop and smell the flowers.
Yep.
What have you pushed to achieve? Like me, I'm sitting here talking to you in my dental practice at 34. Never in my wildest dreams at 18 did I think only in 17 years would I be a dentist in my own practice, in my own community. That is a dream at 34. But if I don't stop and speak to people like you and say that, I forget it sometimes because I'm always pushing on to the next thing. Because if you're an ambitious and driven person, what makes you driven and ambitious is goal setting, goal smashing, and then moving to the next goal. But also, part of goal achieving is stopping and giving yourself a pat on the back. Gratitude, like I said, who helped you get to that point? Never forget. And it's what I said about my father. There is nothing I can do to thank my father enough. And I will say that my father, my mother, my grandparents, my siblings, there's no amount of money, there's no amount of gifts, there's no amount of things that I can do to thank my parents for giving me the opportunities they did. I can just try and be the best son that I can be, the best father that in the future, if God wills that I have children, I can be, the best husband, the best human.
Yeah.
All I think is that we are too quick to forget where we came from. And that's one thing that I try and emphasize is my roots. And the reason at the start of the conversation I highlighted that I went to Hillside Primary School and
Yeah.
Maiden Early Secondary School is both of those places are walking distance from my current practice. Because I
Mm.
emphasized to me, I could have set this practice up anywhere in the world because my USP is me, you know? My
Yeah.
USP is my ethos. I could set up a practice in Mumbai and I'd still be the same Toheed. Do you understand? But to
Yes.
me, it was important to plant my flag where I grew up
Yeah.
because it's about remembering your past and growing into the future and taking who you want with you. Like for me, my app could have been designed by anyone, but it was designed by a guy I went to school with. That's important to me. Using local vendors is important to me. Like sponsoring local clubs, communities, going to local nurseries. We're too quick to send our money overseas, go elsewhere. But why not bring up the people that come up with you? For
Yep.
me, one thing I need to emphasize my piece of the pie being bigger does not motivate me. What
Mm.
motivates me is making the whole pie bigger so the team that eats with me on the table all can eat more. It's a growth mindset. It's a growth mentality. I haven't got a selfish bone in my body. I never have. I've got no interest in it. As long as you've got enough money to feed your family, that's great. That's a blessing. The rest, we should try and help each other grow because then you've got a community you're proud of, you know? You've got a working group that you are proud to call. That's my friend achieving over there. My friend's success, your child's success, that makes me proud. I'm proud to know amazing people. There's
Yeah.
not an inch of jealousy and insecurity there. Only the people that are insecure are worried about what people around the corner are doing. I love hearing stories about kids achieving phenomenal grades from Reading because that's where I grew up. I'm proud.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud even more when
Yep.
they're South Asian because
Yep.
they're doing amazing things. So be positive, gratitude, and helping the community are my USPs as a human being, I'd like to say.
I I just have so much to take away from that, Dr. Tawheed. I, I don't think I can add anything to it that you've not really said.
Yeah.
That makes sense, and I think there's so much to think about to really take a step back to reassess if there's a selfish bone in me that's kicking through. Sometimes, I don't know, maybe I don't do it consciously, but maybe subconsciously. So thank you for sharing that. I think lots to think about there.